All right. So, Ebony, I'm so excited to have you here with me today.
Yes.
And the first question I have for you is, when you were a little girl, no matter like what age you were, do you remember what you dreamed of becoming when you were an adult?
Oh, when I was a little girl, probably a dentist.
A dentist?
Yes, that was what I always said I wanted to be until I got into the field and realized I don't like it.
Well, I'm glad you were able to shift.
Yes.
So when you were that little girl and you were thinking about being a dentist, did you imagine like what you would look like? Did you imagine who you would be maybe married to, that you would have kids? Did you dream about that stuff too?
I did to a certain extent, but everything that I thought is the polar opposite of what I originally thought. So like, originally I thought I would be a dentist, got in the field, and I don't like people spit on me. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not it. I always said I only wanted boys. I have a little girl, and I could not imagine life without her. Wedding-wise, I'm not girly like that, so I never had this grandiose, like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be my wedding, and we're gonna do this, other than to say I wanted to get married on the beach. I didn't know that. And I actually got married in Japan at the legal office. So nothing went as planned, but I did renew my vows on the beach, so it worked out in the long haul. But yeah,
I love that. So when you became an adult, was there a low point in your life where you were like, oh my God, this is what my life is now?
It was, but I didn't know it was a low point. So I served in the military for 12 years, loved it. And then we had some shifting in schedules where I had to be a little bit more involved in drop off and pickup, which those were struggling times for me. I would tell my boss if I had to drop off and it wasn't a normal thing, hey, I have to drop off tomorrow. He'd say, okay, you're gonna be late? I'm gonna be.
Oh, what?
It was always something. And then with 2 kids and pregnant with my third, my oldest was then in kindergarten. He started having trouble in kindergarten. He was getting bullied and the whole 9 yards. So as a parent, you're like, what am I supposed to do? And you just want to do what's best for your kid at the end of the day. So what was best for him was mom needs to be at home. So I got out of the military. Well, prior to that, I had all my dreams, goals, what I was gonna do. I knew when I was gonna do it, and everything was laid out. And then now I'm a stay-at-home mom, which was never a part of the plan. The first week I ran away. So it was very,
like you actually ran away? Or mentally or physically?
No. I left.
You that.
And it was, and I didn't go far. I did come back the same day, but it was not what I planned to do, and it was a lot more difficult because it was polar opposite of what I thought my life would be. And I love being a mom. That wasn't the issue, but I wanted to be a working mom. That was always, we made changes. We had a nanny, all of these things so that I could do that. And then I came home and I ran away that Friday.
And how many years ago was this?
This was 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
I ran away. And my husband worked graveyards at the time, so that meant it was all day and all night mom, because he would sleep during the day, then he would get up in just enough time to eat dinner and go back to work. So it was mom, and that was it. So that Friday, I saw his feet come down the steps. I grabbed my purse and I left. I said, I'll be back before you have to go to work. Don't call. You guys have a pizza on the way. And and he kind of looked, like you would look.
Yes.
And I left, and I came back in just enough time for him to go to work. And he was, he said, is everything okay? And I said, no, it's not. So we talked about it later. I said, we got to figure something out. Like, I cannot do this. And so he was able to change his schedule to swing shift. And that gave me mornings to anything. Like if I wanted to go in the room and close the door, or go get my nails done, or whatever, like I then had time to be alone, but do something for me. So that was probably the lowest. But even after that initial transition, I just felt like wife and mom. And for me, my personality, that wasn't enough. So I started back going to school. And then that became like my sense of like, oh, this is something for me. Like it has nothing to do with anybody else. And, you know, at the time, if you had to ask me, are you a happy person? I would have said, oh, yeah, I'm like, yeah, completely happy. But my friend Debbie, I'll never forget, we were at a baseball game and she was talking about her husband had done the 6-week challenge.
At Camp Rhino.
Yeah.
Debbie, what's her last name?
Monsavias.
Oh, yes, Debbie, okay.
So she told me that he did the 6-week challenge, and I'm like, And I heard her say it, and so I'm asking questions, and I'm like, well, what do they do? And so she explained, as best as she could, and I'm like, I think I'm going to do it. And so I pulled up my phone and, looked it up, and the next week my husband and I stopped by, and I said, oh, I'm going to sign up next week. And my husband was like, why wait? Do it now. So I did. So now I'm mom, I'm wife, I'm a student, and I'm about to start this 6-week challenge. And I started, and it was hard, but I loved it. So then that became my additional outlet. So my husband worked swings, and I would come to the gym, and I became nicer to everybody involved.
That's something we promised.
Oh yeah, I was much nicer, and I'm like, oh wow, this is awesome. But after like seeing results, and then just having outside adult interaction, because even though I was in school, I did online school, so it was still just me, kind of hermit in the house. And I have friends, but still most of the time my kids were tagging along. So to be able to come and like I meet all these people, and everybody's so nice.
You're one of those nice people.
I know. But it was awesome. And so I did the 6-week challenge. I think I only lost maybe, and I say only, but it was still a big deal, maybe 18 pounds in the 6-week challenge.
Girl, what did we tell you in the introduction?
I know.
1 to 2 pounds a week is all you need.
Right.
You're tough on yourself. Only 18 pounds.
Yeah.
I want to get back to what made you sign up to the 6-week challenge. So what was your lowest personal, like physical point?
So after each kid, and moms, we can be hard on ourselves. So you remember like what you were like prior to. So before I ever had kids, I had weight issues. So I was in the military, which is kind of an oxymoron. I was in the military. I failed a PT test, which is our physical fitness assessment. So I moved to a base with a failed PT test, which is like, oh my gosh, here comes another problem child type thing. Oh, no. And I never wanted to be a problem child. So I worked my butt off, and I lost 55 pounds.
Wow. Okay.
So, and it was literally just, I changed my portion size, and I made sure I did something. But it wasn't necessarily hard. It took about a year, but it was, I didn't have any kids, and I had plenty of time. I got pregnant with my oldest, and before I got pregnant with him, I was the smallest that I had ever been. I gained a lot of weight with each of my kids, but after you remember, and I still have all these clothes of this other person, and it's like, I don't know that she's ever coming back. And initially I was okay, but then it just, you look in the mirror and you're like, okay, I'm really not okay. Like, I don't like what I see. I don't have clothes that fit, and there's all of these things, and it kind of and my husband's very understanding, but I would always say, like, I would tell him, I know, like, I'm not myself, but I'm working on it. And he was like, no, it's a transition. You'll eventually feel comfortable again. And I mean, I would have moments where, we're getting dressed to go somewhere, and then I'm just like, I don't want to go, because I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. Then I had my second son. I actually had to do fertility for him. So there's a lot of hormone changes, and in between, I'm telling my life story here.
That's what I want.
In between my oldest and my second child, I had 5 miscarriages in a matter of a year, a little over a year, maybe a year and 3 months. So with that, all the fluctuation hormones, like it would be up, it would be down. You gained a little weight, you lost it. It was all over the place. Then I did fertility to have him, and at that point, because my miscarriages were unexplained, they were like, don't lift anything, like don't move, like shuffle your feet to walk. Like that's how I was treated, because I was seen by a high-risk doctor. So that made gaining with him even that much more, because like even the walking and the things that I did before, like they were like, no. So I gained a lot with my second pregnancy, and it was definitely a lot harder to get it off. And then I only wanted 2 kids.
Oh. And you only wanted boys.
And I only wanted boys. We said we would have 2 and adopt 1. So I was looking up adoption and, ready to make that transition. And my husband was like, well. So we started trying for my daughter. And when we started trying for my daughter, I had nowhere near lost hardly any of the weight. I mean, I lost quite a bit, but nowhere near what I was prior to having kids. So I put weight on top of weight with her. And afterwards, after I had her, I knew I was done having kids. And you kind of just, see what's going to happen. I would go to the gym, but I was very dependent on my husband. When I would go to the gym, if he couldn't go, I somehow couldn't go either. As far as still being in the military, I did just enough to pass my PT test so that I didn't have to worry about that, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be. So I tried going to the gym with him, and he would always say, I know I'm the wrong person to say this, but diet means a lot. Diet means a lot. And I'm like, yeah, you're the wrong person to say this. But
he sounds super straightforward and supportive at the same time.
And that's our relationship. That doesn't work for most people. But for our relationship, our kind of rule is if you release it, then we can hold each other accountable to it. So, and it works. Like we don't have any hard feelings about it or whatever. So I tried a few gyms, and it just wasn't the accountability aspect. I just didn't have. And again, like if he couldn't go, which he worked, so there were times when he couldn't, I can't either. Though I have nothing to do, I can't either. And I just wouldn't. And there was no, and it's not that there is a consequence that I don't go now. It's just, I appreciate and it's not even like it's an external accountability. It's just like, I want to come now. Like it's, and if I don't see somebody, I'm like, not to make them feel bad. It's just like, hey, is everything okay? I haven't seen you or whatever. And I appreciate when somebody says the same to me, like, or I'm the one that's like, I'm going out of town. I'll be gone for this day because I come every other day, like 5 days a week. I don't come on the weekends, but so the low point was, for fitness wise, was I just didn't like who I saw and didn't know how to change that, even though I was sporadically going to the gym, not even in my time, I wasn't seeing any results. And I would see these girls and I'm like that's what I want to look like,
Yes.
And, though they were nice, and if I had asked, they probably would have explained to the best of their knowledge. But some gym environments are just not the same as this one. Like, That's the best way I can explain it. Like some places you go and you feel like people are looking like, what is she doing here? Like, and I don't like that feeling. Like, and that's the polar opposite of anything that I've ever experienced here. Like, and that's one thing that like I love. Like, I've gone to other places and you see people looking at you or judging you or whispering and like just all of these things, and I'm like, I don't want to be a part of that. Like, and depending on the size of the gym, like it would be very cliquish. And so I was a member of one that was that way. And this group of people came at this time, and this is my equipment at this time, and what are you doing here? Like, and I'm like, okay, like I'll go do something else. But that's just the way the environment was at that particular place. So coming to a new gym, you never really know what you're going to get. So I was very skittish initially. But it was I did the orientation. Yeah. And it was so welcoming. And let me think of her name, Heather.
Yes.
Was it Heather?
Yes.
I remember at my orientation, like, she bust out crying. And I was like, this is awesome. I mean, it's not awesome that she was crying, but it was like, this is a person with real stuff that, has real feelings. And I don't know, I've not been to any other orientations, but our orientation was so like open, and people were like, just telling their life stories, and it was probably only meant to be a 1-minute blurb. I joined because, but it turned into this like, social like counseling. Yes. I'm like, this is amazing. So I keep going back to what my low point was. There were so many things. Like, I wasn't happy with myself physically. I wasn't happy with my time that I did try to go to the gym. I wasn't happy with my interactions with my family. Like, I was grumpy and didn't realize it until I became ungrumpy. And then, just the social interaction. Like, I had friends, but it's a different type of friendship that you build when I know I'm going to see this person every day at this time, and we have this common thing that we're working toward. My friends, some of them are into fitness and some of them are not, and you really see them when you make plans, on the weekends or whatever the case may be. But I know that I'm going to see, for the most part, the same group of people every day, like 5 days a week, and it's like, oh, let's go. Like,
yes, that's that. Yeah, it's accountability in a way that you found something that you look forward to.
Definitely, and it's not even like that I have somebody's phone number. It's not that. It's just, I know that I'm gonna see this person, and like Debbie now comes. Yay! So, and it's so funny because she was telling me about Miguel coming, and I was excited based on the results that she said Miguel had. So then I started coming, and then she's like, girl, I'm going too. So it just became so now, like, that's one of the people like I look for, every morning, like we're here. Or if we're not gonna be, like, she and I will text like, hey, I won't be there, XYZ. So there's that friendship that I had on the outside, but then we brought it, and now we're like gym buddies, Yes. So and you make friends within the classes as well, and they're just, you see them in the store, or it's like, hey,
rhinos.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the weirdest thing. Like, we look for rhino clothes.
I know, rhino socks. Rhino.
Like, it's the weird. Like, I
have so many rhino stuffed animals.
Oh yeah, I could only imagine, because we're looking for like rhino charms for our bracelets and shirts. And my husband has this, and he had it years, but it's an Echo jacket, and it has rhinos all over it. Well, it's way big for me, but I wear it.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Because it's like, oh, this is our gym, you know?
Yeah, it's our tribe.
Right,
That's really what it is. And so now, your life now, like, I want to hear about how it's changed, because you made that one step. Like, you took that one step, which was just coming in.
Right.
And then everything happened from there. And so how is your life different now, like your daily interactions with your kids, your husband?
We all eat better. I learned to make the things that we like without the added sugar. So, like, I make my own pasta sauce now, for instance. And it's like, man, why didn't I do this a long time ago? It just tastes better, in my opinion. But so there's the eating aspect of it that changed. I mentioned I'm much nicer, a much calmer person. My schedule, like, I just started back working, but before I would come to the 8:30 class, and so nothing happened before 9:30. Oh, the kids, you know, it's time for their annual, and they would ask me, when are you available? Oh, anytime after 9:30. And that's just to make sure that I got that time every day. That's how I structured my day. So after 9:30, then, you know, anything can happen. Like, they do online school, so I could do school with them. We can have appointments or whatever, like 9:30. But having that time in the morning gave me so much more energy. I get so much more accomplished. You know, as far as the house, like, I was able to just structure my day better by doing. Now, I'm not a person, people do, but I'm not a person who works out in the evening. That's when my kids' schedules really start. But I get so much accomplished now by having that time in the day. Like, my adrenaline is still flowing, and it's like, oh, let me sweep the floor, let me mop. You know, like, it's just, you got all this energy that, you know, you need to get out. So that aspect changed. My relationship with my husband changed. And we have a great relationship. But when you're more confident in yourself, like, you're a better person to everybody around. Like, I don't get sheepish about things. Like, you know, I don't have meltdowns about my clothes not fitting or, you know, all of those things. And I can just be a better, more open person. Like, it's not like when you have these insecurities, like, you don't feel like you're hiding things, but you are, like, because it's an insecurity. Like, so I'm not truly open to you because, you know, I have this little thing that I want to keep covered, or, you know. And my husband's never once said anything negative, but when you don't feel good about yourself, you exude the negativity. No matter how supportive the other people are. So I'm definitely a more open and affectionate, even, like, person, because I'm more confident in myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You know, it seems like this whole transformation started when you ran away. And no, seriously though, like, you realized, I need time for myself.
Right. Yeah.
And so many people, they have a really hard time making time for themselves. Because, like, you know, maybe in their head they label it as selfish, or maybe they say, I don't have time, I can't find the time.
Right.
But people don't realize that you have to make the time for yourself in order to be sane.
Oh, yeah.
In order to be loving towards your children, loving towards your husband.
Right.
Like, you have to have that time. And so because you said, nope, I can't do this, I'm not going to do this, and so many of us do not have the courage. To me, that took courage.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're tough.
Yeah.
You were in the military. Honestly, you could do anything.
Right.
You could have any life you wanted. You could have any schedule. You could persevere. You could have gone 10 more years in that life. You could have. But you had the courage to say, no, I'm unhappy. I'm not going to do this. And then because you had that courage to do that, your schedule changed. Oh, yeah. You had time for yourself. Because you had time for yourself, you joined here.
Right.
Like, if you didn't have that time, you wouldn't have joined here.
Right.
And then because you joined here, you lost your weight, you gained your confidence back, your relationship with your husband changed, and now you have a job, right? Do you love it?
I love it.
Oh, that's so good.
So, and that was the thing, like, you know, you start to really figure things out, because I could have, and someday I may go back to being at home or whatever, but it kind of pushes you in other aspects, like to not settle, like, because man, I was able to make this change, like that's pretty awesome. Like, let's see what else I can change. And I mentioned I'm a goal-oriented person, so even coming to the gym, like I'll set a goal. So initially I didn't have and I still don't, I didn't have a weight loss goal. People would say, well, how much do you plan on losing? I don't know. At this point, I'm just letting my body do what my body does. And wherever it settles, then that's where it settles. I do weigh myself, but I don't have I want to lose 50 pounds. That was never, because at that point, it had been so long, I didn't know what my body was capable of. And I never did go back to pre-pregnancy weight. However, I like the way I look now better than pre-pregnancy weight. It's just when especially the type of workouts that we do, muscle just looks different than, slim. And I like the more toned aspect of it. And so I'll see, I'm like, yep, I need that striation right there. So even, in the gym, like I set goals, like, and John, I love John. So I would tell him, like, I want to do a pull-up by whatever date. And so every day after class, so he would tell me, like, do negative pull-ups or do this or do, and so every day after class I would do a few until by my deadline I want to do a pull-up. And I made it.
And you did it.
I did it.
Oh, yes.
So even with the workouts, like, and because I love that I can come to the gym and not think. Like, I don't want to think. I don't want to count. So, like, Debbie, this morning, we were supposed to do 20 of something, and she was like, girl, you've been done. Whatever, I don't want to think. And it's just, it's a 45 minutes, 50 minutes of time where I don't have to be responsible for anything. So I had a hard time initially remembering, like, what did I lift last time? But John remembers, and he'll say, Ebony, you did more than that last time. And he may not know the exact number, but he'll look at my bar and like, Ebony, I know you did more than that last time. I'm like, oh. And sometimes I do remember, and I just don't want to do it.
Yes.
But it challenges me to do more. So there are certain, like, exercises I'm like, no, I know I did 50 on that, and I'm going to push myself. And some, I haven't been able to push past, and it's okay. I don't beat myself up about it, but I have a mental thing where I know I want to do a little bit more, like, the next time than I did before. So there's that personal accountability, but then because it's an environment where you have a gym coach, and they take such good care of, injury, that type, and just remembering, or helping you believe that you can do more, that speaks volumes. And it helps me to push myself. When I feel like I can't go deeper in that squat, Kaylin will say, get the crease. And I'm like, okay. And I'll say, well, what am I supposed to do when I can't get up? And John tells me, just drop it. It's fine. We'll catch it. And I'm like, okay, because there's going to come a moment when I can't get up.
It's so important to have a coach.
Oh, yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
Because you shouldn't have to be a fitness expert to work out.
Right.
But John's been at it for, well over a decade.
Right.
Tens of thousands of people. He knows what you can do by watching you do what you're doing right now.
That's true.
And it's cool.
It is. And it, because at the end of the day, I don't know. And so I remember when I first joined, I had wonky knees is what I would call them. So I would always want to fold my knees in. Well, all the time that I was going to the gym on my own, I'm sure that's how I did it, because that's what I thought was okay, and nobody corrected me, or I didn't know that I was doing it wrong. But now I can definitely tell the difference, because you get better results, one, but my knees don't hurt so bad anymore either. So I appreciate the environment of having a coach there to say, hey, try this or don't do that, or because it helps me get better, but I don't have injury and those type things as well. So
I love the part you said about goal setting. And for me, happiness equals learning.
Oh yeah.
I'm happy when I'm learning. So out of each one of these podcasts, I want to get something from you to teach other people. And I think that your goal setting is what other people can learn from you. So you've always had a goal. And to me, your goals sound pretty kind to yourself. They sound achievable. And that's why I've never liked the numbers on the scale as a goal.
Right.
Because you don't know what your new body's going to look like.
Exactly.
My old, like the old skinniest body that I ever had was a certain weight. Now I'm 20 pounds up from that, but I love my new body. So you don't want a weight goal.
Right.
So I want to hear like how you come up with your goals and what do you do to achieve them?
So I'm naturally competitive.
Okay.
And I think that's one thing that I love as well, because everybody in the gym has this silent competition with, and nobody's saying that I'm trying to beat you, but you better believe it. I am trying to beat you. So I watch people, and you know, I will identify the person that's doing what I want to do, and I will, you know, secretively see like, okay, she's got 3 10s on there, okay, and then I make that my goal. No, I typically won't say anything to the person because, again, you don't really know how they feel, and I never want to make a person feel bad, and I'm not the I beat you. No, that's so not my. But I'm competitive, so I will watch and see like what people are doing, and then I'm like, okay, I want to be able to do it. So I pay attention, and then sometimes, like when I would come to the 8:30 class with Bob.
66 years old.
Oh my gosh, just and it's just and I'm like, well, I am not 66, so get yourself up, and you can do this. Like clear. And now Bob's amazing. He's like, you know, just this. Yeah, I think he's an oxymoron to everything that we think we know. But it pushes me because I'm not 66, and I should be able to do at least close to what he's doing, even though he's amazing and he's trained himself to do more than anybody I've ever seen at that age. So I'll challenge myself based on age and based on what I see other people are able to accomplish. Like I just think that if you can do it, I can do it too. Like, and I will figure it out, and it may take me a while, but I want to be able to do that. And not everything am I interested in. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, do the heaviest whatever. Like, some things just don't interest me, but there are other things that I'm like, man, I kind of like that. Or when I saw my first like muscle in my back, I'm like, that looks great. Now I want to work on that.
So competitiveness for you is actually inspiration.
Yes.
And so I love that. And you have to be with a group of people to get that inspiration. And it can't be somebody that you don't know across the gym doing their own thing with their headphones on.
Right.
It has to be from your community. You know, I've never thought about competition as inspiration.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've gone down that path of trying to compete. And it's a very lonely thing, and it's actually, for me, it actually didn't end up being very fun. I liked the way it pushed me, but I like your approach so much. I've learned something today. Like,
I did the Rhino Open. And initially I was very like, oh my goodness, like, what is this gonna be like? And then finally I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. Like, whatever, you know, everybody's nice. Nobody, you know, I'm just gonna do it, and whatever happens, happens. But I had so much fun.
Yes.
And it was not, though it was a competition, it wasn't like a negative. Like, you know, it wasn't like a, oh, I beat you, or you didn't even do, like, it was still positive. So I enjoy that type of competition. I don't know that I would enter one outside of these type. Like I just couldn't imagine that I would ever, and I say that, but you just never know, but I just can't imagine that I would be an outside competitor, like, traveling to find, but I enjoyed the Rhino Open so much because I pushed myself more than I ever had. I got a rash on my butt, like, like just trying to get it done.
Yes.
But it was also the healthy competition to say, we were still cheering each other on. Like, even though we were competing against each other, like, you're trying to build these points for your team. It wasn't like, oh, you're not on my team. And so, like, we were still there helping each other along, like encouraging each other, saying you can do it. And I enjoyed the fact that those exercises that, maybe I'm not able to do yet, there was a version where I still could compete and not do, 15 pull-ups.
Right, yes.
Like, I was able to drop and come back up and do my pull-ups, that was the healthy part of it. So I didn't feel defeated at the end of it, even though it was a competition. So
yes.
I enjoyed that.
Yes, I love that, and we always talk about competing against ourselves,
Right.
but it's the other people that show us what's possible.
Yeah.
And, with their backgrounds and their ages, and you're like, okay, just like you said, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, I get a lot of satisfaction when someone else gets a personal record.
Oh, yeah.
When
Definitely.
someone else is like, okay, Ebony's about to do,
Right.
the biggest back squat she's ever done. And it's
And
like,
then we're cheering.
Yeah, we're cheering. And it's like, we're invested, like.
It's exciting. Definitely. Like, you can do it. Or, it seems like the whole gym just stops and it's like watching this person and we're all like willing them. Like, one day this week we did, max cows on the rower.
Yes.
But it wasn't max cows. You had to add another calorie each round.
Yeah.
And so Sophie ended up like going forever. And we're all like standing around her rower and like, go, you can do it. And she's probably like, yeah, please. Like, and I'm like clearing her rower for her so she doesn't have to do it. Like, come on, one more round. Like, but it was so exciting. Though we were done, like everybody was like cheering this one person on, and she probably pushed herself, I would imagine, more because like, man, like they're really encouraging me right now. Like, and I want to do more because they believe in me. So that was pretty cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
So have you ever had a big goal that like was it felt a little bit out of reach that you had to tackle? And like, how do you like try to accomplish things that feel really hard? Like, what's the first step you take?
I like to just break it down into a smaller, more manageable, bite size, if you will. So I don't feel so, what is the word? So I don't
overwhelmed.
Feel, right.
Yeah.
So I don't feel overwhelmed with, oh my gosh, like you want me to do that. And even for like daily tasks, like at home, I hate laundry with a passion. Like, hate laundry. So how can I make this easier? Okay, I Googled like how to make laundry easier. Do one load a day and you're done in like minutes, really, because it doesn't take that long to fold one load. But if I have 5 loads to fold, then it takes me all day. So manageable steps is what I do.
And that's kind of my next question. Like, what are some of the daily habits that you have that keep you happy?
Schedules make me happy.
Schedules, because then you're not stressed, you're not behind.
Right. I am a very regimented person. Like, I pretty much do the same thing every day the same way. So I wake up before my alarm clock now because I've done it for so long. And I used to go to the 8:30 class. So prior, when I knew I was going back to work and I need to go to the earlier class,
5 a.m. every day.
5 a.m. every day. I started coming to 5 a.m. 2 weeks out.
Yes.
To get used to it. And then it made, when now I have to, it made it, I've been doing this for 2 weeks now. So I do pretty much the same thing the same way every single day. At night, I lay my gym clothes out. If I'm going to go to the office, then I pack my bag, do all of that the night before. I pack my lunch, like get it all in the right place. You know, I have a refrigerator in the garage, so I set it all there so that when I come out of the door, I go in that refrigerator, grab it, and get in the car. My kids have a pretty busy schedule, but it is a schedule, so it makes it easier. I know exactly what's going to go on every day at whatever time. I really, in some cases, eat almost the same thing every day. Breakfast I don't stray much from breakfast. I make these little egg muffins, or I'll have oatmeal. Lunch, pretty much the same. I have a piece of fish and veggies. Like dinner is where it becomes like, oh, I'm more concerned with what they want, because that's when I'm at home with them. Is most of the time is dinner, and yeah, it's having my schedule set. I know the night before what I'm going to do the next day. Like I always like to look ahead, and I tell my husband if it's not in the schedule, it's not happening. So we use the little schedule on our phones. Like it's full for every day, but we use it and it works. Like it makes my life so much easier.
I love it.
Yeah.
And in our last couple minutes, what do you have to say to people who feel like they're stuck, who feel like they can't get out of the routine, they're not happy with themselves? What do you have to say to them?
You have to push. That would be my number one piece of advice. When I completed the 6-week challenge, I was happy. Like I saw results, and I'm like, man, this is amazing. And then I hit this long plateau, and I thought, oh well, maybe this is. And because I didn't have a goal in mind of what I would lose, I was like, oh well, I guess this is it. But I kept coming, and then eventually it picked back up, and I'm like, holy cow, like I lost more weight, like, and I'm able to do more, squats, or I'm able to do a burpee now. Like I can actually go all the way down for the burpee. But I kept coming, and like even on vacation, like I'll make sure that I go and do something. It may not be, exactly what we're doing here, and then after vacation, I come right back. But I just keep.
You're consistent.
Right, I'm very, very consistent because, sleeping in feels nice.
It does.
And if I slept in one too many days,
it does. But
yeah.
A day where you have absolutely nothing to do sounds like a great day, but it's actually your least favorite when you have it happen.
Right.
When you finally get that day. I don't know if you've ever had one of those in the last 5 years, but
probably not.
Probably not. But let me tell you, they're not as great as the days where you push and you are outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, laundry every day sounds like, wow, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
Because
it makes it easier.
Because it makes it easier.
Yeah.
Makes
and
my
it's
life
better than having piles of laundry everywhere.
Yes.
So you just have to, that would be my one piece of advice, is push. Like when you don't want to, if you push yourself, you're always happier that you did. Like there are days when, just this week I came in and I could barely see, my head hurt so bad. And my friend said, you should go home. I'm like, nope, it ain't that bad. So I took some Motrin before I came here, and we were doing squat hops, and every hop was like, oh. But after, my head didn't hurt as bad. And then later in the day, like it got better and it got better. And I'm not saying, push through being sick, because there are some days that that's definitely not smart.
Leave the germs at home.
Yes, and I'm the one who's wiping down everything. So I don't come sick.
No,
but I know when I can push through a headache, or I know when it's not that bad, and I always feel better. But pushing myself, I was able to see more results. And a year later, I'm like, holy cow, like, yay. And now almost 2 years later.
We're going to show your before and after picture, but how much did you end up losing?
I lost 40 pounds.
40 pounds, yeah. And you look amazing.
Thank you.
But more importantly than that, every day is a good day because
is.
you have your routine.
I do.
And you push yourself every single day, and that always feels good.
It does.
Yeah.
You feel like, what else can I accomplish today? Because I pushed myself through this thing. And, you know, we always joke in the gym, like, we pay for this.
I know.
We pay for this torture. But it's like, oh my goodness, what else can I do today? Because I accomplished that. I'm able to have this proud moment pretty much every day to say, man, today I did.
By 6 a.m.
Yeah.
You have that proud moment.
Yeah, and it feels great. Like, it helps you, like, what other way can I make myself or my family proud today? Like, my mom, I call my mom every day. Again, I'm a very regimented person, so I leave the gym, get in the car, and I call my mom. And she'll say, you had your workout? Yep, I had my workout. And she'll say, what did you do today? And then I tell her, I mean, it's like a little girl, you know, talking to your mom, but she's excited, you know, for what I'm doing, and I'm excited to tell her, like, you know, today I did whatever.
Yes.
And she may not know what it means, but, you know, she's excited for me, and I'm excited to tell her, like, you know, everybody, you always want somebody that's in your corner that's cheering you on through the situation. So when people see your results, it's like, man, like, what did you do? Like, what are you doing? You know, and
I've just been consistent for the last couple of years.
Yeah, and that's it, because I didn't do anything special. Like, you know, it's the same program that everybody does, but I literally do my best not to miss a day.
And that's probably why you still felt pretty good at that plateau, is because you knew you were doing everything you could every single day. And every day you worked out was a good day, and life was pretty good. Yeah. Well, and congratulations on being an awesome human.
Thank you.
With your 3 kids and your husband, and can't wait to talk to you again in a couple years, see what's going on.
See what's happening. Thank you for having this gym.
Yes.